All right, we're live. Okay, good afternoon, beautiful people. This is episode 46. We got another good one for y'all today. Hopefully you enjoy it. It's a lot to cover. So hopefully we can get through all of it today. I got a lot of notes and stuff. So today's topic is ignorance, billion-dollar industry. All right, so I'll kick it over to Mark, the co-host. What you got?
I was just going to say, hey, everybody, appreciate you guys joining us on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. I'm looking forward to today's topic. Like always, like, subscribe, and comment. And I know I have some people out there that's, letting me know that they watch our podcast. But again, I implore you guys to just, go ahead and subscribe, leave a comment. If you want to somehow be anonymous, but we like to get that feedback. So I appreciate you guys actually watching and tuning in, but we just want that feedback. So just do that, stay engaged with us and let us know what y'all feel about the topics that we present to y'all. So again, I'm ready to get it started. STS guys, stay focused, trust your process, and let's stay consistent.
All right. So I'm in a good mood. It's a beautiful day. The Phillies might make it back to the World Series. So hopefully if they do make it, they don't choke this year.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, it looked like they're on a mission to me. So yeah. I don't know. I think they might get it this year.
Yeah. It would be cool if it's a rematch, Houston and the Phillies, because it looked like Houston gonna win that one against Texas.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be a rematch.
Oh, yeah, most
you can't lose to them twice now.
That's what I'm saying, but that pitching is no joke. So
yeah.
I don't know if they can match their pitching.
Yeah.
They still got the same players, so we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, like I said, we got a good one for you. So basically what brought about this topic for me, I was watching TikTok, was it last week? And I don't know if everyone ever heard of this brother. I don't know if he's still with the Nation of Islam, but I know he was with them at some point. And his name is Rizza Islam. Very intelligent brother, very conscious. A lot of stuff he talks about, he backs it up with facts. So it's not just subjective, it's objective and subjective. And that's why I like listening to him, because he bring it up or support it with facts. And that's what I try to do when I talk about stuff. A lot of the topics that we talk about on here, I try to bring as much objectivity to it as I can, because there's so many different podcasts out there and everybody's giving their subjective opinion. And I don't want to just be another podcast that just bombards you with all their subjectivity. So with this one, it can teeter along the line of conspiracy theory or not to attack anybody, intelligence. And I was thinking about this earlier. A lot of times when you use the word ignorance, people get offended by it. So the first thing that comes across is, oh, you think I'm stupid or I don't know anything. And that's not what it is. Everybody has some sort of ignorance towards something. And ignorance is basically just not knowing. So it's not a demeaning word. It's not a belittling word. It just basically means you don't have the information or knowledge that you should in order to talk about something or support something. So like I said earlier, the topic is ignorance, a billion-dollar industry. So a lot of corporations and industries are making money, let's be frank, off of the general public's ignorance of what it is that they're advertising, what it is that they're selling. From my perspective and what I observe is most people take at face value what it is that's being presented to them. I mean, not saying everybody. Some people do their due diligence, they do research, but a lot of times the research is Googling something and looking at reviews based off of somebody else's subjective opinion on what the product or service that's being provided. Me, I kind of look at reviews sometimes and I don't put too much stock into it because my belief system and what I like is not always the same as somebody else. So I'm not going to put so much stock into reviews, depending on what it is, because they're, like I said, perspective and values and stuff is not the same as mine. So I'm not going to put 100% into it. But that's as far, for some people, as far as research goes. They just do a Google review. They look at reviews. Some people might go in depth if they got time, if they're that diligent, to look up the ingredients of a product, who made the product, what's backed by the product, the history of that company or whatever the case is. I just don't see a lot of people doing that because it's time consuming. So most people, they just take at face value what's being advertised for them as that being true. And a lot of these industries is making big time money off of our ignorance. And I look at it like it's crazy because a lot of stuff that's being sold to us, a lot of services, people are getting over because they're banking on the ignorance of the general public. So a lot of the research that I've done backs that up. So I'm just going to read a couple of notes that I wrote down. And so it's like 4 or 5 industries that base their advertisement and marketing off of the ignorance of the people, and they make their money off the ignorance of the people. So the number one is the pharmaceutical companies. Number 2 is diet and weight loss. You got and as a trainer, you got so many different diets out there, so many different weight loss programs. And again, the general public, most people don't know anything about anatomy, physiology. So they're taking what is being presented to them as being true. And a lot of the stuff is the quick fix, and that's not the proper way of going about, certain ways to better your health. So again, they're banking off of the ignorance of people to make money off of it. Number 3 is fake news and misinformation. That's social media. There's so many people out here that's putting out misinformation. They're piggybacking off of something like they seen on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, and they put their little spin to it and their personality to make money off of it, because everyone knows you can make money off of this influence and stuff. So again, they're banking on the ignorance of the people. Financial services. Most people don't know anything about finances. I'm going to dive in that a little bit later. And then the 5th one is the clothing and jewelry industry. And this is what kicked off my whole reason of why I want to do this, because like I was saying earlier with Rizza Islam, he was talking about basically more the Black community, how a lot of the entertainers and celebrities are buying these chains and stuff like that. I remember it was something on Instagram, and Busta Rhymes went to, I think it was Saudi Arabia. He bought a chain. That thing was like $500,000. Now, I'm not here to count nobody's pockets. I'm not trying to get nobody's pockets. People work hard for what they do. So I'm not trying to judge anybody, but I just feel as though as Black people, not every Black person, but a lot of us still complain about how we're second-class citizens, how we don't have this and don't have that. And a lot of the times it's us doing it to ourselves by purchasing things that is not necessary. So that's just the context of what today's topic is going to be about. So I'm going to kick it to you, Mark, and get your perspective on it.
Well, I mean, this is a good one. I didn't, get an opportunity to do the research, so I'm gonna piggyback basically off of what information you put out there and put in my perspective on it. But I mean, just to kind of allude to what you were saying with the industries, and I agree that it's a lot of, perfectly said, it's a lot of misinformation that's being publicized, and it's basically feeding off of ignorance. I can't put it no other way. Like you said, just counting on people to go buy into what they hear, because we, myself sometimes included, fall for the trap of what we see, we believe it, because we take the face value and feel like, oh, that got to be true. Why would they say that if it's not true? So we all run to it and believe that that's what it is, instead of researching it and, diving in there and, really dissecting it and figuring out, is it legitimate or not? And it's funny because I was just talking to a client today, and he was telling me about purchasing different stuff, and he's seen it on Facebook or Instagram, one of those social media, where he was saying that, is it true that if you do this, if you eat this food, that this will help you lose weight? And I said, it's necessarily, some of it's true, but not to make a long story out of it. I told him, if you know the way your body works, like you alluded to, you know that it's all about intake as far as calories in versus calories out. So I had to break it down to him, because he literally was kind of back and forth with me, telling me what he saw on Instagram is saying that if you eat this food, you're going to lose the weight. And I said, yeah, you can eat anything you want, but if you don't do the proper way of losing, burning calories, you're not going to lose weight. I don't care what food they tell you to eat. It's all about how you go about it. So that's just to give you an example of what you're saying about as far as misinformation and expecting people to just, because they put a professional person up there, they sound intelligent, they articulate, so they buy into it, believe, why would they make that up? Instead of just really saying, you know what, let me look at that, let me research it and go into it. But I will give him benefit of the doubt. He did ask me what did I think about it. So I told him, don't buy it, don't purchase it. And I went about and telling him how this is the way you should go about trying to lose weight. So he's kind of bought into it, but luckily he did ask me. So he's, I guess, accepted to the rule. He did research a little bit. And I even told him, don't take my word for it, go even further and make sure that you keep researching, because you never know. I have my way of thinking. And like you said, you can't go over one person. So you just keep researching and researching to where you dissect it to where it's going to make sense. That's my famous saying, is make it make sense.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff out here where, companies and people make it seem good, because I always say it's the gift of gab. If you know how to talk to somebody, you can sell somebody your own shirt. If that person is naive enough and believe what that person is telling you, if it sounds good, it sounds right. So it's unfortunately that's it's a capitalism world that we live in, so a country. So people use that ignorance to benefit off of it. So it's a shame, but yeah, we all need to, include myself, get a little bit more knowledgeable and research instead of just taking it for what it is. Because there's a lot of scam artists out there.
Oh my God, yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to include the Black community. A lot of what I'm about to talk about is going to be geared towards the Black community. The only reason why is because the Black community is the largest consumer in the entire world. We actually consume $1.3 trillion annually. No other people on the face of this planet does that. So our impact is significant. So that's why majority of my information is going to be focused towards that. So I'm not trying to make it a black-white thing, or it's just what it is. The number is not lying. So one of the things that struck me and caught my attention is that Blacks, we only make up 14% of the US population. So with that being said, $573 million of feminine hygiene projects is purchased alone by the Black community. Okay, so 810 million Blacks spend on bottled water, which is 15% overall. 587 million refrigerated drinks, which is 17% of the overall spending for refrigerated water. 151 million women fragrances, 60 million of watches and timepieces, and 4 million for children cologne. Now that one blew my mind, because I'm like, who the hell is buying children cologne? So, so basically to tie this into the whole ignorance with the billion-dollar industry, that's why I brought that up.
Right, yeah.
Because a lot of money is being made based off of these products. And like I said, a lot of this stuff is not good for us. The deodorant, like cologne and stuff. Why does a child need cologne? You know what I'm saying? So that's one aspect of it. Okay. Now, this is something else that kind of stood out to me. Now, somebody might say, okay, this doesn't make any sense. What does this have to do with anything? Now, the dried vegetable and grains, Blacks spend annually $472 million. Now, the total amount spent in the US population is 941.2 million. So we make up 50% of what is spent on dry vegetable and grains. Baby food, we spend 817 million, and it's 198 total. Again, we spend 42.76%. Personal soap and bath works, we spend 1.3 billion, which is 42.64%. Shelf and stable juices, $2.3 billion out of 62 billion, and we make up 37%. So, and then Black shoppers spend $473 million total on hair care. Now, I don't know if you remember before that Chris Rock did a little documentary on hair. Mm-hmm. That alone is like one of the highest grossing businesses that's out there.
Yeah.
And we don't even own any of that stuff. We don't even provide any of that stuff. So to tie that back into the ignorance part of it, I know at least 5 people I can count on my hand that makes hair products, that make beauty products. That's just 5. So can you imagine if more people or more women actually decided to make their own products, not how much money they would save, but how much money they will put back into the community.
Right.
So again, just buying blindly, not putting in the research and finding out, okay, why is it that we have to go to somebody else to purchase stuff for our hair products, and we can do that ourselves? Mm-hmm. So that's something that I always ask myself, why is that even the case? That makes no sense to me. Now, I want to say this piece, and I'm going to kick it over to you. Like I said, 44.2 billion of the industry is skincare, and then 465 out of 3 billion. That's how much we spend on hair care. So that's just something to think about. A lot of us, we complain about how, like I said, we're second-class citizens. We don't have this and have that, but we put more out than we bring in because it's based off of ignorance, in my opinion.
Right. So with that being said, it's kind of like a rhetorical question in a sense, I guess. So with that being said, why are we like that? Why is it so much being expended on things that's not a necessity? It's more what we want than what we need, what it sounds like to me. I mean, maybe the nutrition part with the grains and all that, I can see that because we've been taught and told that grains is one of the better foods to take in. So I can see that, but I'm surprised grains actually where all that would be spent. I thought it would be on alcohol, to be honest. But like, no, seriously, or something more that's detrimental to us. But me, I feel like it is being ignorance, but how do we correct that? Now, I know we all have to be self-motivated, want to educate ourselves and go out and research and do that. But is it somewhere where it started when we was kids and where we was taught and raised that we got to have more, we want more. So if it's nice, we want it, like material wise, we have to have it. The hair thing with the women, I ain't gonna sit there and justify it, but I understand why that would be one of the main ones, because women is very important about their hair. Now, I had a client one time when she was in training, she had to cut her expenses. Her husband told her, you need to cut your expenses. And she told me, and I'm not lying, this is not made up. She told me, I either have to stop personal training or have to give up getting my hair done and getting my nails done. Now, mind you, this lady needed me because she wanted to lose weight. She was overweight, had a lot of health issues. So she was recommended by a doctor to get a personal trainer and start working on her physical fitness health. internally. So she tells me, and I'm not kidding, man, it was nice working out with you, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to stop training with you for the simple fact my husband making me cut my expenses. I had to choose one. So she chose to give up
Wow.
the personal training and continue to get her nails done and her hair did and all of that. So the point that I'm making out of this is that's ignorance, but then again, it's about self-love. Where do you feel? What do you need? What is it going to do for me? What is the importance? So I think that's a self-check you got to do for yourself. Whatever it is you're seeing out there, even if you are ignorant to it, you got to ask yourself, is this important to me? What is it going to do to change me? You know, what's the relevance of it? Because when she told me that, I lit into it. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna say what I said to her. But I pretty much told her, you wasted your time, you wasted my time. You weren't serious about it. You're not serious about your health. You're more of a person that's want to look good on the outside. You're willing to pay somebody else that's going to make you look good on the outer, but you don't want to pay me to help look good on your inside. This is an investment in yourself. So I took that and I told her that, and she left, never came back. So who knows where she at now, you know, because she was an overweight girl. Like, she needed the training, but she chose to go that route. So to me, I feel like that's something we all have to do and look within ourselves and ask ourselves, do we really need it? Is that going to work? That's in a perfect world, right? But to me, that's where I feel that that's the problem with buying all that stuff. Us as Black people, we feel like that's the things we need. Is material. For some reason, I think it started back in the day. We was programmed or
Yeah.
brainwashed because we felt like we didn't have anything. So we need it. So once we get the money, that's the first thing we want to do. Is look good. It's funny, we went to see Bruce. And he made a comment about, oh, y'all looking good up in here. Y'all ran out and got you a new outfit just to go to a comedy club. And it's just funny that even the comedians say that you always spend money on buying something ridiculous, but when it comes to supporting something good, you got every excuse under the sun why you can't do it, you can't afford it. Oh, I got a cruise to go on, but it's something that's important. We overlook that and put it as not important, but we go and buy into something that's not even that important to us. So I feel like that's part of the problem is self-love, you know, what you need versus what you want. So.
Okay, like I said, I'm gonna try to get all the numbers and stuff out because it's a lot. Okay, now the other stuff that I found out, Blacks and Hispanics spend up to 30% more than any other race in the United States. They spend more on clothing, cars, and jewelry. And similar incomes as far as Black and Hispanics have held or spent over $23 million per year on just those visible items. Now, the top 5 that operate in a high income is housing, which is 34.2%, transportation is 17%, personal insurance and pension is 15%, total food is 12%, and healthcare is 4.8%. So these are the top 5 areas that Blacks and Hispanics spend the majority of their money.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, there's probably a lot others that's out there, like you was asking about alcohol and stuff like that. But these are like the most significant that have, the bigger percentages. Yeah. So housing, that makes sense to me because a lot of us, we tie our success with housing. Because if you speak to a lot of Black people, they say, well, I got multiple houses, I'm doing this and that. It's about building generational wealth. And I think a lot of that kind of do go back to the times before us, whether slavery or our parents and stuff that was struggling coming up. And, they weren't able to own houses and the land was taken from them and stuff like that. So I think that's one area of saying, okay, that I made it and we can own this because we was told so many times before that we couldn't own anything and we weren't allowed to own anything. So I think that area was one of the ones that we gravitate to identify with a form of success. Now, what ethnic group spends the most money? Now, this is what surprised me. Asians spend the most money any ethnic group in the United States. And when I heard that, I said, what the hell are they spending money on? I don't see them buying anything. You don't see them in stores and malls and stuff. And then when I was doing further research and I found out, I said, okay, that makes sense. This is what Asians spend their money on: pension plans, education, and personal insurance. Those are the things that we don't spend our money on. The things that's going to help make us better and add generational wealth, those are the things we don't spend money on. We spend money on more or less things that's, like you said, that identify with success, or it shows that we made it, or whatever the case is. And that's, in my opinion, where the ignorance part comes in. I know you asked the question earlier, well, what can we do? And you answered it for yourself: is education. You know, doing the research and us teaching our children what's important. And I know you have, and I know I have. I just think it comes with it. It's basically up to the individual.
Right.
You know, because I don't get into name brands. A lot of stuff that I buy is off of Amazon. I have not shopped at the mall or an outlet store in probably about 5 years or 6 years. Everything I buy is from Amazon. Not that Amazon is better, but basically what I'm saying is I'm not spending money on these high brand name brands of stuff that I don't need.
Right.
You know, and again, it's just going back to not putting in the research. For example, I got 2 examples. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
Now, Balenciaga, I think it was last year, that whole story came out about them actually, it was part of the slave trade or trafficking young children.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they actually have some documentaries and videos and stuff, or proof that this was happening. And you would think most people would back away from anything that's taking advantage of children. But people are still buying it. People are still supporting it. And a lot of these name brand companies have a history of either owning slaves or something that's negative. And it blows my mind that people just don't care. And I remember it was one of the famous brand. I can't remember who it was, but he came out and said he don't want Black people buying his.
That's FUBU.
Huh?
But it was FUBU, wasn't it? The guy.
No, FUBU was a Black brand. This was a European brand.
Oh, not FUBU. I'm sorry. It's Gucci. Wasn't it Gucci or?
Yeah, I think it was Gucci because it was a popular one. And then Mayweather came out and said, I don't care. It has nothing to do with me. I'm still going to buy it. And he went to the store and spent like $2.4 million or something on some of their items. So this is always my argument. It doesn't make sense to me, and it's the same thing that the Islam dude, Rizza Islam said, and the brother Umar Johnson. With all these so-called billionaires, how is it that we don't have anything in our communities? Why don't we have more schools? Umar Johnson built that school. I haven't heard anything about it, so I don't know if it's actually running yet. But we don't have any schools. We don't have any boys and girls clubs, anything that's productive. And I'm like, instead of buying a house, why not? And I think they're doing that here in Atlanta. Buy some land and build subdivisions, build grocery stores, stuff that you know that people are going to spend money on, and you're going to always, make money off of it. Why aren't we doing those things? So that's part of what my thing is, as far as the whole ignorance, is that we're just not putting in the time and due diligence to find out who these people are, what their agenda is, and what their bottom line is.
So I'm gonna do devil's advocate a little bit. Now, by no means am I justifying and making excuses, but again, devil's advocate, basically playing the other side. So that way, I'll say the same thing. Billionaires that have the money should invest and put back in the community. But the devil's advocate would be, the problem with that is that sometimes we don't know how to act when we get stuff in our community. We don't treat it right. We treat it the worst out of all the other stores that's out there or buildings, they don't even mess with it. But we put a building that we put our heart and money into, we the ones that get it, violence towards it. It'll get graffiti all on it, just disrespected. So sometimes I feel like it's a hesitance. Again, there's no excuse, because if you're going to help your own people, you got to show that you're willing to ride with them and show them that, hey, I got y'all even through the bad times. But I feel like that may kind of shy away sometimes when you see what you do to your own. When you do put something out there, instead of respecting it and treating that like gold, it's the one that gets the most disrespect and mistreated and just get vandalized. And it's kind of makes you feel like, damn, why put in and help my own out if this is how they're going to show respect, is by doing this to me. So I feel sometimes that could be, I'm not saying that's what it is, but I think maybe that could be a reason. Again, they can overlook that and just keep showing that, look, we're going to take care of our own. If you go out there in the community and show your face, maybe they might get more respect. Because sometimes they may feel like, oh, you just putting this over here just to take our money, but you ain't no different from the white man or whoever else decides to put a business in our community. But I just feel personally, if we acted right, when we do have our own, I think it would be more businesses put out there in our community where it's respected and it's not vandalized or mistreated wrong, when it's like, this is what you should take care of. Because me and that brother from Philly, the one I'm training, and he matter of fact, he's from Logan. But we was talking about, why don't we support ourselves and each other and put more stuff out there? And if we both said the same thing, like if we show when we get money, instead of taking rent it, buying a house, of course you want to take care of your family and yourself first. You work for it, you deserve to splurge a little bit. But then we also said at the same time, put that money out there and invest in the own community and show that, hey, I know we have less, so this is a way of showing you if we're going to be able to do for ourselves and bring ourselves up. But on the flip side, a brother did that, and then they vandalized his business, graffiti all on it, and it's his own that did it. So it's like, damn, we just did all this, and this is how you repay us? So I believe that we should, billionaires, do that, but we the people too got to play it smart. Be like, hey, if they giving us something, we need to respect it. As the old saying goes, take care of what's yours. Treat it like it's your own. Don't, mistreat it and act like just because it's not yours, you don't got to give it no respect. And I feel that's where the devil advocate, that's the only reason why I'm putting that out there. It kind of go both ways. But at the end of the day, yeah, billionaires got money and some of them speak about the community, but what are you doing to help the community? So I think it go both ways. It's a lot that talk about, oh, I care about where I came from. Will Smith, I'm gonna put him out there because sometimes I wonder about him. Now, I don't know, so I'm being ignorant myself right now to say, I know the last time I heard he was supposed to build a school or a recreational center in Philly. I don't know if he did it. I know it was talk about he was going to do that. I know he did give back with Overbrook, because that's his production company is Overbrook High. So I do believe Kevin Hart, I think he has something in the community. So I don't think it'd be publicized unless you research to realize that, it is some of us out there that do it.
Okay. Good point. So KJ said it was Tommy Hilfiger that said that.
Yeah, okay, Tommy Hilfiger. Thank you. Because I was darn trying to figure it out.
Yeah, so KJ says she thinks the ignorance comes in not knowing what to do with the money. We need financial education about life insurance, stocks, real estate, etc. I agree 100%. And I don't know if you was watching, but that's what I mentioned as far as the Asian community. That's what they pour their money into. That's what they spend money into, is education, financial literacy, and I think it was health, personal insurance. So I agree. And that's one of the least most invested items or the stuff that we invest in is financial literacy. So to me, I say it's garbage in, garbage out. And this is no disrespect to anybody. But if parents don't know, they only going to teach their children what they know. So if the parents don't know, they can't teach the children. And so many of us is relying on society to teach our children, and then society is not going to teach them. So it's just garbage in, garbage out. So it's easy to say, well, we need to educate them and stuff like that. But if the parents don't have the education, then where are they getting it from? So that's why I kind of lean more on athletes, entertainers, and stuff like that, because they have the resources. So for me, when I get to that point, that's what I'm putting in place. I'm putting in place things that's going to allow people to educate themselves. So if that's putting a library in place, putting stuff that financial literacy buildings and stuff like that. Umar Johnson, I don't know if you heard about his program. If it actually kicks off, that's going to be an excellent school. He has the same mindset that I have. You're teaching, you're giving children these skills, because if they can't get it at home, they have to get it from somewhere. So that's more so what I think it should happen. And it don't even have to be a celebrity and stuff like that. You can make, if you're making money, instead of buying all these name brand things, these expensive cars and stuff like that, you can come together with your community and still do it. And that's one of the things that I do like about Atlanta is it was like 50 Black families. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. But they're coming together and they're buying, I think it's over 100 acres of land, and they're doing what I was talking about. They're going to build a Black community. Now, going back to the other thing you said, when he's like, well, why do that? Only thing we're going to do is tear it up. Now, I was doing DoorDash. It's a blessing in disguise, in a sense, and I'm going to be honest about this. I had a skewed view about our people. Me being in the military, I was fortunate enough to be in good neighborhoods and stuff, in good communities. So I was never in an impoverished neighborhood. Now, I drove past them and visited them, but that's all I saw. So I never saw our people excelling like they are here in Atlanta. So I've driven through some communities, and these houses is nice. And when I see that it was our people there, I was like, damn, because I've never saw that before. You know, we grew up in a middle-class neighborhood. It wasn't bad or nothing like that, but not at the level to what I've seen here. So I think that's what they try to put out there, is to make us believe that we don't live that way. And most of us are dirty and don't know how to take care of stuff. Yeah. But a lot of us do know how to. So that goes again back to educating ourselves and not just being so taking everything at face value, just being presented to us, and actually putting in the time and research to find out what the truth is. So again, I want to throw some numbers and stuff out there, because I have a lot in here. Now, going back to Black spending power in 2021 reached $1.6 trillion annually. And then the Black net worth declined by 14%. That's a head scratcher. So how are we spending more money, but our net worth decreased? So again, that goes back to, we're putting so much money in the stuff that's not benefiting us in no shape, form, or fashion. Okay, Black consumers are younger. So it's the younger community as far as Blacks that's doing this. I think it's from ages 24 to 34. So they're, buying the cell phones, the tablets, the jewelry, the clothes, and stuff like that. So the Black shoppers have spent over $473 million in total hair care. Hair care, yeah. So again, it's going back to stuff that, to me, if we just educate ourselves, and I had a conversation with somebody about this the other day. That industry, I think, is dominated more so by the Asian community and Indians. I don't know how it is in San Antonio, but I think there's a mixed bag here, but there's more Black women here that have the weaves and the wigs and all that stuff than anything else. You got some sisters that's walking around natural. Most Asians or anybody else can't do a Black woman's hair. They just don't know the texture and, everything that goes behind it. So again, that agenda is being pushed out, that if you got long, stringy, straight hair, you're received more. That's what beauty is, and that's how a woman is supposed to look. So Black women is pouring all their money into this stuff instead of being proud of who they are, what they have, you know, the natural hair, whether it's afro, whether it's plaits, whether it's dreads, whether it's the locks or whatever the case is.
Yeah,
that's not accepted. So you're not going to find Black women that's going to gravitate to that because that's not what accepted. Because again, that's what's being pushed out.
right.
So just imagine if every Black woman decided, so you know what, I'm not going to put my money into something that's not benefiting my people and it's not benefiting me. Let's take pride in who we are and what we are. This right here alone, we're $1.6 trillion. So the world depends on us to survive. Again, ignorance. If we actually put in the effort and time to realize this stuff, we couldn't be touched. Then they can't promote, well, if you have long, stringy hair or whatever the case is, that's what beauty is. No, that's what they're projecting what beauty is. You see, so for me, it's too easy to combat this, but the ignorance, boy, is killing us.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But the thing I'm gonna say, and I always say this, if y'all, notice when I'm on here, I always say, if you educate, so when I say this, nobody take it like I'm not saying education is important. It's always important. You need to educate yourself. I'm educating myself on different things. But what I say with that comes, you got to do something with it. So it's good to know, but if you just a walking encyclopedia, to me, you're a waste more than somebody that's actually learning it and putting it in effect. So I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just kind of adding on, get educated, but now put it in action, put it in affirmative action, do something about it. Because what's the point of having knowledge if you're not using it? To me, you're a waste or worse than a person that's ignorant that don't know. Because at least that's the reason why they're not doing it, because they don't know no better. But if you have the knowledge and you're not using it, you worse than a person that don't know because they ignorant. But you got to know it. But if you're going to educate it, you better at some point put it in action, be affirmative. So I agree with you saying, Matt. All I'm saying is with that, do something about it, because I know some people that's very intelligent, like you just did your book. So you're being educated, but you're putting the next step. You're putting a book out there so people can get educated and learn. So you're doing the next step. But it's some people I know that's highly intelligent, but they ain't doing nothing about it. So it's like, yeah, you smart, but all you do is walk around being smart and educated, but you're not doing anything. And I'm not saying that it's easy, because there's going to be pushback, but you still got to put in the effort. I want effort behind it, because that at least shows that you're doing something about it. So just piggybacking off of you, I'm just saying, get educated, but put it in affirmative action going forward. But to comment on you about you saying about the Black community thing, I agree with that, but to me, it's self-love. And the reason why I say that is, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm trying not to make this sound like I'm pointing fingers, but I'm using it as an example, like I said earlier about the lady that was canceling her personal training to keep her nails and hair did from her husband. Is when I have clients, I get the worst or the most pushback from my own, giving me every reason under the sun why they can't do personal training, but they about to go on a cruise or they've got to go out of town, which we all deserve to enjoy life. But again, like I said earlier, if it's something important for you, why not support your own? But you'll go and pay the next guy that's doing the same thing I'm doing, but you won't pay me. So that's where I feel like we got to trust each other and know that, hey, this is a brother or a sister that got their own business. If the person legit, after I researched and found out they're a legitimate person, that's where the money needs to go. Put into our own community to give back. That's how we give back and keep us being productive. But to have businesses out there, you don't even react to it or try to give it business, that's the problem. I feel like that's one of our problems as a community. We don't have enough trust in our own businesses to say, hey, it's legit. There's a lot of times where we would doubt our own and make, oh, that ain't real. That's fake. That's not legit. but you'll go and trust the other companies and say, oh, they real, they legit, they the ones that's going to do for me. No, why not put in your own and give them a chance? If you research and find out they're a legitimate company, support your own. Because I always try to support. If it's a Black-owned business, if I find out about it first, you know, what it is that they got is legitimate, I'm gonna support them. Like the two brothers that's from Philly down here that's doing the Italian water ice and
Mhm.
the cheesesteak pretzels. Once I found out they're from Philly and I found out they was legit and they ain't doing nothing that's, you know, detrimental, I support them. And I told them, I put them on my Instagram, I post them and everything. And I said, I'm coming to you guys from now on. I'm not going to Julio across the street, no disrespect to him, but he's getting his support, but now you're getting mine. And they's like, I appreciate that, brother. You know, so that to me is how you be able to keep trusting and helping each other. I know that's kind of off of what the subject is
Mhm.
about, Matt, but I feel like that's the problem when it comes to our businesses. We don't support each other enough.
Right.
And I don't know if that's part of lack of advertisement or lack of trust or a little bit of both. But I feel like that's important. We gotta trust and believe in our own businesses, and I think that will help us and get more communities with businesses in there, and we get support from our own. Because down here, there's not many of us, and we don't even support our own, and that drives me crazy. It
Well,
does. It really do.
well, there's like a whole bunch of reasons why. Like one is cognitive dissonance, epigenetics. That's
Mhm.
another topic for another day, but a lot of that is the reason why we don't support each other. So
Mhm.
like a psychological reason why. But I want to touch on what Kim just commented on. She said materialism is glorified in a community. Music, films, sports, all glorify objects and things that usually don't keep their value. 100% true. And that goes back to what I was just saying earlier in reference to how stuff is being shown to us as far as the way we're supposed to live and what we're supposed to appreciate. And I don't know if you saw that movie, They Cloned Tyrone.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so many people got it twisted. They think like they're physically like cloning people. What those guys is trying to get across is they're cloning people by putting certain people in the community, whether it's an athlete, a drug dealer, a prostitute, because they had those three things in the movie. If people paid
Mhm.
attention, they had the prostitute, the drug
Yeah.
dealer, and the pimp.
Yeah.
So that's how they're cloning us, is by putting those images and glorifying it and basically
Mhm.
subliminally telling you, okay, this is who you are, this is
Mhm.
how you make it, and this is how you're supposed to be. That's why we're bombarded with athletes, entertainers, and celebrities, especially more so in the Black community, is because that's what they want us to believe. That's our only way of making it. They don't put attorneys, they don't put doctors, they don't put scientists, they don't put physicians, physical therapy, not physical therapists, astrophysicists and stuff like that. You never see that stuff promoted. It's because they don't want us to believe that those are things that we can attain.
Right.
So that's why I think this is important, is because, again, the only reason why these industries are making so much money is because of ignorance. That's the whole foundation of all of this. So to get back to some of the numbers, because I think this stuff has some validity to it. So Blacks, like I said, are most likely to consume products, but are financially behind whites and Latinos.
Mhm.
So we'll pay extra for products, that constitutes with the image, what we want to convey. That kind of goes to KJ's comment that that's what we glorify,
Right.
because we're trying to live up to this image of
Mhm.
what success is. So when
Right.
they put those Black athletes and celebrities and entertainers, Beyonce, LeBron James,
Mhm.
the actors and stuff like that. So what are most of us going to do? Those are
Mhm.
the areas that we're going to gravitate to
Right.
try to get to reach success. Now, I think it's kind of changing now with this new wave with internet and stuff like that, with influencing and stuff like that. A lot of us are branching out, and there are young people that's making money in different areas. But again, that stuff is not going to be promoted because they don't want anybody or us to believe that there's other avenues that we can take other than just those four areas.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I was talking about earlier. It says the average white family has 8 times the wealth of the average Black family and fewer times the worth of a Latino family, or 5 times the worth of a Latino family. Okay. So Blacks' financial literacy isn't high among American adults. Most of the population in Americans, period, financial literacy is pretty bad. So this is the number that like caught me. 38% of financial literacy tests or questions are answered correctly, and 28% is answered correctly. That's more than 70%.
Right.
So there's a lot of illiterate financial people, not just Black, all Americans, but more so us than anybody else. So again, that's why the title is Ignorance, a $1 billion industry, because we don't have the knowledge or seeking that knowledge. Okay. All right, I'll kick it back to you.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, just, I don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself in a sense, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty much in a nutshell, like you said, we just educate, get more knowledge. But again, I'm gonna say it again, put it in action. Once we get that knowledge, we gotta do something with it so it can become affirmative action to where we see the results of it and understanding this is how we're gonna move forward. Because the financial part of it, yeah. One thing that I invested in, actually, the guy I used to work with, he told me about it. He's a white guy. And he's like, look, dude, this is something you need to invest in. It's a lot of way to make money. And it's a $1 billion business, but a lot of people don't trust it because they feel like they don't need it. That was the life insurance. And he got me into it. I did the research, and the insurance company that I'm with, it's my retirement plan. It's my way to use for whatever I need, because it's the reward you get for staying healthy. The whole key to that, and that's why I say health is wealth. I always tell people, you can't do anything going forward if you're not healthy. You can have all the money, but you don't got the health to be able to make the money, you're not going to be wealthy. So with this insurance, your key, the incentive is to stay healthy so you will get the money. As long as you're healthy, you get all that money back that you put into it. So he basically told me to use it like a business, get it invested into something, and then put insurance on that. And then you constantly got a movement of insurance. You got life insurance, and if you got insurance on a building or something, property insurance that you using for a business, you still got money coming in, and then that's how you grow and continue to use that as different outlets. So that's what he told me. Insurance is a #1 moneymaker. In San Antonio, people get sick all the time. So it's not big down here because so many people are sick with diabetes and heart disease and high cholesterol because the food they eat. So a lot of people down here not even investing in it because you can't get the insurance if you're already sick. See, that's the trick to it. Is you got to be healthy first and then stay healthy. So a lot of people just get discouraged because a lot of insurance plans, if your ass got heart risk or diabetes or something like that, you can't even qualify.
Yeah.
So the point I'm making out is that's how I got educated on it, and now that's what I'm gonna use for my outlet. So when I start doing the business next year, what I'm gonna start doing, I'm gonna use that and do property insurance with that, and keep expanding. And that's the way I'm gonna try to grow with that. So that's where, it's important to educate yourself, but you got to do something with it. I'm gonna stick on that because I'm a firm believer. You need to be educated, but you got at some point do something with that, because you don't want to die being smart and never did anything with it, or knowledgeable and never did anything to put it to use. So that's where my I laid my head at, because I believe that's the ultimate self-love. Educate yourself, but be affirmative action on what you do, what you learn at some point.
Mm.
So
You said something that stuck out to me, but I ain't gonna get on the self-love part. That's yeah, that's big. Um, so
you're
basically,
not gonna get on me, or you're not gonna get on it.
no, so I'm not gonna touch that right now.
Oh,
So basically, like like you said, the spending habits is what's the bad thing is. Whether you say if we got knowledge and we're not putting it in action, um, that has a lot to do with it too. I believe the people that do have the knowledge are putting into action. Again, I just think it's just not advertised
yeah.
because they don't want us to see that, if that makes sense. So if you're not in that area or in that environment, most people are not going to see it.
Right.
But most people that I've seen here in Atlanta, like I said, what's one of the things I like about it, and I said this not to offend anybody. If you're a Black woman, you live in Atlanta and not successful, then something wrong, because this is like the Mecca here to excel owning your own business. So I do believe that most people that have the education and stuff are put into action, but it's just not going to be advertised because the whole agenda is to keep a certain people down. So that's
Right.
not going to be advertised. And this is something that stood out to me. I already knew this because I went through marketing and stuff like that. But this is what a marketer said. It said expensive cars, clothes, hair, jewelry, and vacations in marketing departments are targeting a community solely to buy their products without thinking about how that can serve their community. And it said they're doing it wrong, and it's definitely going to do more harm than good. And our customers, basically, that's what they were saying. It's going to do more harm than good, and they know this, but they're still doing it because, again, like I opened up with, they're banking on the ignorance of people to not find out and educate themselves, and that's how they're making money off of us. So that's basically going to be my closing.
Yeah.
Is I know what you're saying is if you had a knowledge and education, if you don't do anything with it, then it's kind of pointless. I agree 100%. But I think we still have to get to that point. And I think those of us that do have it need to collaborate with the others that have it and come together with a plan. So, and it like you said, it starts with yourself or ourselves and working outwardly. But like I said, I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention because it's evident to me and it's clear. I just want people to realize that we are putting ourselves in more of a dire situation by purchasing things and supporting these brands and stuff that clearly have nothing positive in mind for the consumer. So why make somebody else rich and you can do it yourself? That's something I always look at and try to promote.
Yeah, that's facts right there. Say less, say less. But yeah, my closing, I'm about to say closing argument. I'm gonna close with same thing I started with, which is self-love, educate yourself. Now, I'm just gonna kind of reiterate that, but I'm gonna expand a little bit. When I say educate yourself and be affirmative action, I don't mean the one that's already doing it. This is more or less speaking on the ones like myself. I'm preaching to myself as I'm saying this. The more I learn, I need to be affirmative action with it too, because I don't want to be learning it and then go tell the next guy, man, hey, I know this and I know that. You need to know this, but I'm not doing that neither. So that's what I mean when I say the ones that don't know, the ignorance of us that's out there, once we do get that knowledge, let's put it to use, guys. That's all I mean by that. Because it is, like you said, it's a lot of people, Matt, that's doing it that are affirmative action once they have the knowledge. So knowledge is important. Being affirmative actions is the next step, next level. And STS, this correlates to what I always say. Stay focused, trust the process, and stay consistent. Consistency is going to be the whole key to anything we do in life, period. If you ain't consistent at it, you're not going to stay focused, and you're not going to trust that process, that journey that we're going through. Let's be wise, realize a lot of companies out here, as Matt stated, if it's not benefiting us, it's benefiting them. We need to find other avenues to help be, where it benefits us in our own community. So that's where I stand with that. Great conversation, a great topic. I love it. It's good. Like always, you have good topics. So I'm looking forward to next week.
Okay. On that note, I'm just going to leave with just one last stat. 42% of Blacks responds to mobile ads, TV ads, radio, and internet. 42%. So I just want that to marinate in the viewers' minds. Just think about that throughout the week and, react accordingly. So with that being said, like, subscribe, comment, check us out. Check us out on Spotify. Y'all enjoy your day. Again, this will be aired again on Wednesday on YouTube. All right, y'all be good.
All right. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Yes, sir.